What's up, Airsofters, and good morning. Welcome back to our latest socially distanced, not so round table episode. As you can see, George and I are more than 6 feet apart, so I think for this episode we can probably lose the masks so that you can hear us better and see our mouths moving so it's not weird.
We have emotion now.
Yeah.
Like one of the most interesting things with people with masks is you really can't tell the emotions anymore.
Have you seen they're now making masks with a clear window?
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We loved your guys' questions in the last episode, your comments, and all of your involvement in the comments section of the video. Please keep it up. We love reading your guys' responses and you guys taking part of the conversation. Once again, George and I have gone through previous episodes of the Not So Round Table and collected questions that we haven't had an opportunity to answer, or ones that maybe we haven't answered in a long time. A little bit of a hybrid with the Helm of Reasoning. We're planning on bringing the Helm of Reasoning, or Helms of Reasoning.
Yeah, we might do helms.
For later episodes, since we have to keep distance, but instead of cutting them up and throwing them in the helmet, we've both collected a variety of questions on some sheets of paper to ask each other questions from you guys.
Yours is like way longer than mine. Like mine are all pretty short. Yours are...
To be fair, the longest one on here is mostly a statement. There's also a question, but I also like the situation afterwards. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty wordy. Yeah.
Do we have a quarter to flip? How do you guys want to? How do we want to do this?
Mason, who should go first?
You go first.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
I'm just going to do mine in alphabetical order then.
Okay.
Starting at the top of my list. George.
Yes.
This question comes from Alex G. This is from episode 133. Hey, Insert. I have a question about gas mags. I've been looking up maintenance for gas replicas, and I ended up with some contradicting info. Some sources say it's good to completely drain your mags of gas, while others say that you should leave some gas in them. What's the right way of maintaining gas magazines for longer periods of not using them? I thought that was a fantastic question because we've never answered it.
I mean, my knowledge base is very limited, but it would always be taught. I was always taught from other friends who've been in the sport longer to have a little bit of gas stored in the gas mags, especially green gas versus propane, because it'll keep the O-ring lubricated because of the additive that's in the green gas. Now, obviously for CO2 magazines, you do not keep them loaded. That's actually very dangerous.
Right.
But you have to make sure you're lubricating the O-rings on those to avoid any issues. But I never heard of anybody saying you should keep them empty.
I've actually heard people say make sure that they're like completely gassed out. I think as long as you gas it almost entirely out, there's still a little bit of gas in there. And the key thing here is making sure that there's still a residue of the silicone from the green gas, if it's a green gas magazine. And two, a little bit of gas in the magazine keeps pressure on the O-ring, keeping it from drying out and keeping the seal oriented properly. An empty magazine is going to let the O-ring sit freely and therefore not seal after a long period of time because it'll dry out and crack and things.
Yeah, I almost think it's almost like my in-laws had this problem recently where they had some O-rings under their sink dry out because they're just not using the sink for so long, and it's in a dry climate that basically they weren't there at that house for a while, and then they, when they run the sink, it's leaking. It's just like, yeah, an O-ring's going to dry out. It's the same kind of concept. Just keeping it under pressure maybe is a little bit better for it.
Yeah.
All right, trying to pick another question here at the end. I'm going to go to something that is very Airsoft themed. And this is a good question for Matt, as one of your recent builds featured one of these guns, and that is, what is your thoughts on the MP5 platform and the UMP45 platform? He's looking into getting one. This is from Cameron Gillis, 4 years ago. Hopefully he still watches the show. And love the show, and what is the best kill made against you? Would be the two-parter of this.
Okay.
So, in terms of, you built an MP5 recently.
I
built an MP5 recently, different models.
Yes.
I think it's making a resurgence. What do you think is the reason for the resurgence?
Okay, so part of the question involved the UMP45. And I'll be honest, if the UMP45 was better and had better magazines, if it had a more durable, if it had better magazines, I would use the UMP-45. I would have chosen the UMP-45 over the MP5. I just love the looks more. I just think it's a cooler looking gun, personally. That said, the magazines aren't great and they don't fit in anything. They're just big and chunky and nobody makes SMG inserts for them. So,
well, now you have those SMG tacos. You
Right.
have some stuff
Right.
now, but
right.
yeah.
I absolutely love the MP5 for its classic looks. The roller lock design is super cool. I think it's making a resurgence because Flannel Daddy did videos on it. It's in video games. They're even becoming more on trend in the real firearm industry, coming out with semi-auto versions for civilians here in America. I mean, maybe in the rest of the world, you guys have had them and we just missed out. But I don't know. I think there's just a classic thing about the MP5 that you can see in movies and video games going back to the beginning of video games. Like the MP5 has just kind of always been a mainstay.
Yeah.
And we still see them. And so for me, it was like, dude, this is something that is always going to be in fashion. And with more companies making a way to attach accessories to it, I felt like now was the time to build it. 5 years ago, before they made handguards that could take accessories, I really wouldn't have considered it because I think the integrated flashlight front handguard doesn't work very well. It's not nearly bright enough. And yeah.
No, I agree. I think that was one of the main reasons for its resurgence from in the firearm world. And then obviously I think one of the main resurgence aspects for Airsoft is event promoters started coming up with rules to implement SMGs.
Yeah.
And the thing is like before, no one wanted to run SMGs because what was the point? You had lower mag capacity. The mags were a little bit harder to run, a bunch of them.
Yeah. Shorter barrel.
Shorter barrel.
Yeah.
You really just didn't have any advantage at all. And then now with companies making advantages for them, I mean, then at that time, it's just like, oh wow, this is a lot. It's more fun. That's all. Both of us built them around the time when we were like, oh cool, we could use them in Battle Lab.
And there are huge advantages for an SMG at Battle Lab. Like, you're rolling people with an SMG at Battle Lab. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I mean, even a shorty M4, but that smaller form factor. Is.
It just makes it fun to be able to use the full auto in that ability, in that aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's what helped with the resurgence of it. And then obviously, I think that's one of the main reasons it's getting kind of popular again is Magpul's making parts for it too now.
Yeah.
So that's going to help.
Which they haven't released yet.
No, they're released.
They are?
Yeah, I have one.
What the hell? I remember looking for it and like not finding
they
anything
came
on the
out
website.
late, but they're out.
Yeah.
They're out now, so that's that's probably helped a little bit too.
And Magpul decides all the cool trends. they kind of do.
I mean, we started in Airsoft before Magpul was a thing, so.
Yeah, I remember I bought my first that Magpul split stock. What was it called? Not the UBR stock. The one that had the bottom triangular piece that slid on the rail, and then we modified a LiPo battery to fit inside that.
I don't know what
portion.
those stocks were. I don't remember.
Anyway, it was a terrible stock. Yeah, it looked cool, but it was not practical for Airsoft. And it was like $100 and something for something.
So,
anyway.
The best kill made against you.
Yes. To this day, the best kill made against me was at Tac City, previously known as Airsoft Playground. In fact, I think this was during when Airsoft Playground was still doing well. The best kill was from Bob the Axeman. We were all playing in a group of friends. We were there late at night. And this dude, I don't know, I lost track of him, didn't know where he was. I was coming around a corner and all of a sudden, I see this foam axe come straight at my face and he goes, Axeman! Nails me right in the face. The best kill against me wasn't even from an airsoft gun, but it caught me completely by surprise, knocked me on my butt because I was like, what the hell just happened? It was pretty epic. Yeah.
That's pretty epic.
It was pretty epic. How about you?
I'm going to have to say it's a shared kill, and that would be MSW game. It was Lauren, myself, Miguel, and somebody else, maybe Roger in the Humvee, and we got hit with a tagging round by like 200 yards away.
Nice.
And it hit us right in the quarter panel, like perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And 200 yards, that's
It was far.
art. Wow.
We found the guy who had the video of it, and you watch the video, you're like, dang, that's a shot. Like, you just kind of just do that, like, hats off thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll take it. Yeah, got it.
yeah. So definitely one of my favorite kills against. Make sure you guys are submitting some questions down below in the comments. We're trying to, we're pulling from some old videos here to try to really kind of bring some good comments from the past. Hopefully all these guys are still watching the show.
And we're getting back into answering your guys' questions. We like the idea of theming the episodes, but we're going to start trying to get back into answering your guys' questions, because that still seems to be the favorite way for us to do the Not So Round Table. We've got so many more questions to answer, and this episode's running a little long, so make sure you tune in next month when we do another Not So Round Table, probably still socially distanced.
Unlike Matt, I did not go in alphabetical order, nor did I mark what episode it came from.
I'm
just
compulsive.
copy and paste.
I'm sorry, I'm compulsive.
I just copy and pasted. But I am not going to go in alphabetical order. I'm actually going to pick some questions, and this is one I don't think we've also answered, and that is, this is from Zinc. 4 years ago asked this question. This was in the episodes of around the 70 markers, episode 70 to 79 is what I was taking a lot of questions from. And this was asking high caps or mid caps, and why? And the main thing he says, I have high caps, and that's basically just like he's saying I run high caps. And what's interesting is how the argument of high caps has changed over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you first,
Yeah.
and we can discuss, because I don't think we've ever answered that question either.
Well, so like on a personal level, I started with high caps. I think
Everybody
everyone
did.
starts with high caps. Most guns come with high caps, or used to.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot come with mid caps. And in the past, I found that when I was starting out in Airsoft, I shot a lot more. Partially because most of my gameplay was indoor, and there's just more people to shoot at in a closer quarters engagement, and you do a lot more shooting. So the more milsims we ended up doing, the less shooting I was doing, the less need to have 300 rounds in each magazine I found that I had. But ultimately, it came down to, I got tired of remembering to wind the magazines. So I shoot almost chiefly mid caps now, because I don't like winding the mags, and because there are inventions to allow you to load those mid caps so much faster. Because that was the drawback for me before, was I didn't want to sit there with the thumb loaded speed loaders.
Yeah.
But once the Odin and the Elite Force speed loaders came out, there's almost no reason for me to have a high cap.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that I kind of started out very similarly. I remember having lots of the 450 round G&G high caps.
Oh yeah,
those are great. Yeah. And I don't think I own a high cap now at all, like you said. I mean, we don't play Airsoft as probably much as we used to back in those days, but still a lot of places mostly either require mid caps only, or the nice thing also is like mid caps used to be like 80 rounds, 100 rounds really tops. Now there are high caps that are almost mid caps that are almost high caps. So, you know, and I don't even think low caps really exist much these days.
There was, it's funny, I didn't put it in my list, but there was a question about what people thought about low caps and whether there was a place for them for AEGs. If you've got an AEG, I don't know why you'd waste the time only shooting 40 rounds.
I think where it can be fun is in a CQB only environment and single shot, and then it's very, you know.
Then you're taking your time.
I think that's a lot. I think that actually is probably a place where it can be useful.
Yeah.
Outdoors, I personally don't think low caps, like, it just takes so many BBs to hit somebody from 100 yards sometimes that it just doesn't seem very logical to have 30 rounds.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. I
will say the final high cap that like broke the straw, like the straw that broke the high cap back for me, was my VFC 416 mags, because they're supposed to look realistic, but they're high caps, so they don't have a winding wheel on the bottom. They've got that tool. It's like a zigzag shaped tool that you have to insert into the side of the magazine and spin it. And I lost all my tools. So I had 6 of these magazines that I'd paid a ton of money for with no way to wind them. And I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm done with it. And I took the base plates off of them, and I had to reach up inside to roll them. With that said, flash mags are pretty sweet. I mean, if you want to run high caps, I'd look into flash mags, because that takes all of the the pain of rolling them out. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I mean, I forgot about the flashbangs for a brief moment in time. Yeah, flashbangs are a good option too. I'd say it's just personal preference.
Yep.
And whatever, you have to remember, as some milsim games will not allow you to use high caps, period. So,
Right.
you know, it's just really kind of playing within the boundaries of what you're, oh, we got a big truck coming.
Son of a. And it's
okay.
pink.
Deal with the truck.
All right. Our next question comes from Max Payne's brother, Bobby. Bobby Payne. I took this one from episode 133 as well. And this is the long voice, so bear with me. All right. Hello, insert guest / forced participant being watched over by the being that is Shades, forced to answer questions at gunpoint. Would you rather ride a flying, flaming shark into battle while geared up like Neo from the Matrix, having multiple dual-wield pistol sets and compact SMGs strapped to your body with slow-mo 1 powers, or be the Gatling gun wielding heavy from Team Fortress 2, defending an outpost from the Reds against unfair odds, 25-1, because it isn't fair unless it's at least 50-1. Also, did I mention that as a heavy, you have a lightning spewing bear named Sandwich that used to be a bear skin rug before you brought him to life with the power of manliness?
Wow. You know, props to this person's creativity
Yeah.
to be able to deliver a comment such as that.
So epic.
So epic. And like, you know those crazy oil looking paintings that are like of old founding fathers and stuff, like riding a bear into battle or whatever. I have that image in my head.
Exactly.
You know, you have Abraham Lincoln on whatever, you know, I don't know each individual one off the top of my head, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. So I would say the flaming shark dressed as Neo.
The flaming shark dressed as Neo.
Flaming shark.
Yeah.
That would probably be the more epic oil painting of myself.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
Yeah.
I'm sure you, I don't know about you. I'm not
so-
really a heavy, to be honest with you.
Neither am I. I liked the idea of a lightning spewing bear that I had reanimated from a rug, because you wonder, is it still deflated and without, I mean, is it just the skin of a bear that is now moving as a bear? Like, is it just a skin that's now been reanimated, or have you somehow found the rest of its body? I've never used a Gatling gun or like a minigun in a game, so I was kind of drawn to that just because it sounded kind of cool. I don't know. Either way, fantastic question.
This is a good question. This is from Gavin McCall, and this is 4 years ago. If you could change anything about Airsoft, what would it be? I know, that's a tough one.
Anything?
Anything. If you could change anything about Airsoft, what would it be?
I wish there were more Wild West. I wish there were more fun games. Besides just like the force on force, or like bank robbers or defuse the bomb. Like that's cool, and you can do that in video games. But you're around people and you can have fun with people. So why not have fun with it and then add Airsoft into the mix?
I think that's a really good point. I think having more role playing, actually,
like joke
if you look at it, you know, like you look at the game out in Balahak, you know, Rev, you look at, those are more role-playing style games, and they're a lot more popular. And Airsoft is just a part of the game.
Exactly.
It's a tool of the game versus, you know, and I think that's a very good point.
Or even, you know, stuff like party games, like we've done with the guys from Node, you know, Trouble in Terrorist Town and Mafia, and that kind of stuff. Like, we've had more fun doing those than any milsim I can remember, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
I would say that there's a lot more memorable experiences from those. Than
they're just, I don't know. And there's not as much pressure to be like good or serious. It's just having fun. I don't know. If I could change anything, I would like more people to just have fun, not necessarily having fun because they're shooting at people.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like Airsoft now.
I would say that's a really good answer, and you know, my answer would also kind of be along the lines of making it more fun, but it would basically be that fictitiously that we could have a mute button on some people. like in, what's that movie with Adam Sandler with the remote where you like click.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I really wish that some more sportsmanship came into the game. And this is just from a complete player overhaul that everybody was just, because there's just some people who ruin the game. There's a saying like 2 people ruin the game for 100.
Yeah.
Or 1 person ruins the game for 100. And it's very true because there's tons of players who are really nice and really good, but there's always just that one person. And it's, every single event you can find this one person who just needs to just chill.
Chill out, yeah.
Just chill.
I mean, at least we don't have the amount of fist fights we used to have. I think Airsoft is a lot more inclusive of people now than it was.
Oh yeah.
From young to old, in shape to out of shape. I think it's a lot more inclusive, and there's more people playing and being accepted for playing. But I agree. Like there's sometimes, it's an adrenaline-based sport, so things get heated. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, if you get heated, just step off. Like, don't ruin it for everybody.
The thing is you can have things get heated, but the thing is if it's too competitive, if you're taking it too seriously, like I just never can take Airsoft that seriously because it just can't be competitive in the same way a real sport can.
Right.
In terms of football, hockey, soccer, whatever it is, that's a game that you basically have rules that there's a defined winner and loser. In Airsoft, there just isn't that, sadly.
Yeah.
And some people are looking to bring that football mindset into Airsoft, and it usually collapses, and it usually makes it so somebody's a jerk.
Well, and that's fine, but then have a tournament for that. It doesn't need to be part of like regular play. You know what I mean?
I would say that it happens a lot more, I feel, in the milsim crowds than the tournaments for Speedsoft.
Yeah.
I haven't been to very many SpeedQB tournaments or anything like that, but the majority of the time I've never really seen much issue.
Well, that's because most of us milsimmers are under the impression that our longboy rifles will reach out to 500 feet and can't understand why someone's not calling our hits in wind through bushes.
Well, another thing is just like whenever like an infraction is committed, like stop arguing about the rules. Just like sometimes like if somebody shoots somebody too close, or somebody should shoot so many times, or if somebody goes on full auto when they're not supposed to go on, just like let it go. Like just say, the hit calling one is my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
And it's just like, get over yourself. It's just it's.
You can go regen.
Like the biggest thing I've seen, especially happens in outdoor, is I shot you first, but I also got shot, but I shot you first. I know I shot you before you hit me.
It's
just like doesn't make any sense. How can you possibly tell that from 50 yards away?
Yeah.
And if you think you can't, like honestly, in my situation, when I just 50-50, I just like if I hit the guy, he calls out, and I got hit sometime, I just call out too. I don't know who shot who first.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
I think that's fair. Like there needs to be more of that kind of level of sportsmanship. And
just an appreciation for the game you're both playing.
Yeah.
All right.
Very heated.
No, okay. So my next question is kind of in the same vein, and I didn't even think about this beforehand. So this might take us a minute to think about. We can always come back to this.
Okay.
But my next question is from Broadwing Airsoft. I grabbed this from episode 130. What product or products do you think revolutionized Airsoft the most? And I don't have an answer right now, so we can come back to this if you want.
I have an answer.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit me with it.
I would say that the most revolutionary part of Airsoft was literally the invention of these high quality MOSFETs. I think it's basically, when HPA came out, everybody was like, oh, HPA. HPA is very innovative. But not really at the same time. It's a lot. Most of it's based off of older technology. It did increase the reliability factor for Airsoft, and I think that in turn, what HPA did was then make AEG companies start developing products to make AEGs being able to compete with HPA.
Right.
And you have companies like, Blacktown Concepts, Gate, and other companies who've done a really good job with creating trigger MOSFETs for $100 or $120 that are really, really good and solve the problem of semi-auto with a LiPo. So that's what I would say is the most innovative thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Were you stumped because I had one like right off the bat?
Yeah, because I was like, dude, there's just so many things that have changed Airsoft over the years. Okay, I'm gonna put this one out there. I don't know if it's it's not as revolutionary as MOSFETs, I think, but I think it contributed to a wider array of platforms being available as viable guns to use in games. And I'm gonna say that's the battery switch to lithium-based batteries. So back when I started, LiPo batteries didn't really exist in Airsoft yet. And in order to get a longer runtime, you had to get a big honkin' 9.6 that had 5,000 milliamps, and it had to go in a full stock, which meant you were either taping it to the outside of your gun, or it was like, you had to put it in a larger product. And that meant that all of your small guns got kind of relegated to either you had to buy a bunch of batteries and carry them on you all the time, or you had to keep them in really close quarters engagements when you didn't have to go very far or play for very long. So in that sense, I think the LiPo battery gives you longer run times, ultimately better performance, better available performance, because it opened up things like MOSFETs, or actually kind of required things like MOSFETs.
It made it a requirement almost because of the amount of
But yeah, you get longer run times, and those things are so small, you can fit them in just about every platform available today, with the exception of most AKs and the ASG Bren. I hate the battery storage compartment on the Bren. Love the gun, but I hate that battery storage compartment. Yeah, so maybe batteries. So batteries and MOSFETs.
Yeah, I'd say those are two very big innovations, both AEG related.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's been a lot of innovations on the gas market. That you can only really just improve quality of parts so much. I actually have a really good question.
If you guys disagree with that, by the way, comment in the section below. What do you think is the most revolutionary product that we completely forgot about?
So this question was good. I got the idea to use this to go to this question after you mentioned about having Airsoft kind of be more fun and be more role playing. From Johan Holm, 4 years ago, asked, "Hey Insert, love the show. If you could base an Airsoft event off of any historical or fictional battle, what would you choose?"
Oh, dude, Alamo.
Huh?
Alamo.
Alamo?
Hell yeah.
That's a pretty good
one.
Dude,
a Wild West shootout at the Alamo?
I knew Matt was going to go with a Wild West shootout. I'm really surprised that you went with Alamo, though, but that's a good one.
Yeah, I would, I would love to reenact the OK Corral, okay? I would love to. But what a cluster that would be, with everybody trying to shoot each other in a small space and calling hit. They would never work for Airsoft. Like it would never work unless everybody already agreed before you started that we're all gonna die. Like right now, like it'd be the shortest battle ever. I think for a long engagement that could be a lot of fun with a lot of angles, I would love to do like a legit Alamo, not in a container structure. Like something that looks like the Alamo. With people like in costume, like trying to do the, we can't get horses, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Alamo, maybe.
That's a good one. I actually don't. When I thought of this question, I really didn't have a perfect answer. There's a lot of people who would be like, "Oh, reenact D-Day," or
I mean, there's Burgett, right?
But I mean, like D-Day is itself, in terms of the whole aspect of it, would be very difficult.
Oh yeah.
But we got a FedEx truck coming. Work things. Anyway, so I was just like, that's kind of boring, to be honest with you. It's predictable. Then I was thinking of like the more historical route, also very predictable. So then I started thinking of the sci-fi route.
Oh, okay.
And I really don't know. I kind of want to go like a cross either between like some Star Wars stuff, like the storming of one of the cruisers or something, or maybe like stuff from
maybe like an epic Clone Wars battle or something.
Not maybe Clone Wars. Maybe I would say Hoth would be pretty cool, but that'd be very difficult to pull off. But I'd say that would be like a really cool environment.
That would, yeah.
But I would say that Endor, reenacting that would be very cool. And then the other sci-fi ones, I thought of two other ones. One which would be from the horrible movie but hilarious movie Starship Troopers, with the last with that last outpost battle or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be actually figuring out a way to reenact Ender's Game as an Airsoft game, which would be almost near impossible.
So when we invent zero gravity,
with Airsoft guns at work.
Hell yeah, dude, that would be.
Those are my answers.
Yeah, one of my favorite books growing up. The
Great
Ender's
book,
Game trilogy.
Okay movie, Movie had good visualizations, but the book is
I
definitely the books
never
are very
even watched
good.
the movie.
The movie's not bad.
Okay.
I mean, I have one
There have
friend
been
who's
far
like,
worse movies made from books.
let's put it this way. I have one friend who's just like, he says all movies made it from books are bad. Like, he's like, oh, the book's better. It's like, well, the book has your own visualizations and your
Yeah.
own, it has a lot more information. It's paced differently.
Yeah, incredible. I didn't even think about sci-fi. Man, that would be cool. Agreed.
I think Alamos are great. I think that would be a lot of fun. You already have the technology of the pistols,
We're
the
there.
rifles.
Yeah.
I think it would be something very fun to reenact.
And like, think of all the epic ways like people could be dying and their hats are falling off, and you got quick draw stuff going on. Anyway, so there you go. All right, next up. This one's from Colby Cheese. We've answered one of Colby Cheese's questions before, actually. This one's from 133. How do you recommend someone to get into airsoft tech work? I don't really have a beater gun that I'm willing to start pleb work on. Where do I start? Unfortunately, I feel like he kind of answered his own question.
You kind of answered your own question there, because unless you're willing to mess with your main gun,
Yeah.
which most people are not, there really is, it's very hard to get into teching.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things with teching, I say with anything, is you can watch YouTube videos for days, but until you actually do it, you really don't experience it and learn. So, it's just like, you can look up how to do something,
Yeah.
but until you do it, you haven't done it.
So I have a suggestion, but it is going to cost you some money. But here's my advice. There are a lot of retailers like us that have a boneyard section. And 9 times out of 10, boneyard guns are missing something or don't work for some reason or have some issue. And a great way to potentially make yourself a little bit of money and to learn in the process is buy a boneyard gun that might be missing something or might be malfunctioning in some way, and then disassemble it and see if you can figure out what's going on and how to repair it. And ultimately, it won't cost you as much as a new gun. You won't have to break down something you already own. And if you can repair it, you might be able to sell it to a friend or another player for more than you bought it for. But ultimately, you have to chalk the cost up to the cost of learning and not necessarily for profit. And then once you start to build that skill set, I would say, then you can probably start taking on work from people that don't have broken guns that are boneyards.
There you go. It's a good answer.
I don't know.
So make sure you guys are commenting in the section below. We'd really like to see some new comments. We've obviously been pulling from older episodes, but we'd really like to get your feedback in. We're going to probably try to bring back some helmets of reasons.
Yeah. Your guys' questions were one of the most popular things about the Not So Round Table. So since we're going to be doing more of those, we need new questions from you guys to answer in future Not So Round Table episodes. We've got a ton more questions, but make sure you tune into the next episode to find out what those questions are and hear our responses. Of course, socially distanced.
We'll probably be socially distanced for a while.
For now, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys later.